Have you ever had that really specific, slightly terrifying moment where you feel like you are just completely losing control of the steering wheel of your own life?
Oh, yeah. I think everyone has.
Right. And I'm not talking about a literal car accident. I'm talking about those moments where you are technically conscious, but you are absolutely not in charge.
You're just a passenger.
Exactly. A passenger in your own body. Like
Yeah.
maybe you fall madly, hopelessly in love with someone you've known for exactly 3 days.
Yeah. And you're already planning the wedding in your head.
Yes. Or maybe someone cuts you off in traffic, and suddenly, before you can even think, you are just consumed by a rage so pure and so hot that you barely recognize the person screaming inside your own car.
It's a total hijack.
It really is. Or maybe it's quieter. You're stuck in a situation, a job, or a relationship that you logically know is toxic for you, but you just can't seem to move. You're frozen.
That sense of being swept away or being locked in, it's such a universal human experience.
And in those high-intensity moments, the big question, the one that keeps me up at night, and I suspect keeps you listening at home up too, is who is actually driving the bus?
Hmm.
Because it sure doesn't feel like me. It feels like something else has taken over entirely.
Well, that is the question of the ages, isn't it? Philosophers, theologians, psychologists, they've been wrestling with that for millennia.
Yeah.
And usually when we try to answer that, when we try to figure out how to get control back, we rely on this very specific, very old school metaphor. We think of our will, our ability to choose, as a captain standing on the bridge of a ship.
Right, the captain, the logical voice, the little homunculus sitting behind our eyes, looking down at the crew and shouting order.
Exactly.
Like, steer left, ignore the siren song, full speed ahead, don't eat that donut.
Precisely. We view the will as this authoritarian figure. And if the ship crashes, if we eat the donut, or text the toxic ex, or scream at the other driver,
We blame the captain.
we do. We say, oh, I just didn't have enough willpower.
Right.
We treat will like it's a muscle, or some brute force that's supposed to dominate everything else in our psyche. We think we just need to white-knuckle our way through life.
But today, we're going to completely flip that script.
Mhm.
Because according to the really fascinating stack of research, articles, and clinical notes we have for this deep dive, that captain model, it's just wrong.
Completely wrong.
It's not just slightly off, it is psychologically inaccurate.
Yeah.
And trying to use it is actually what sets us up to fail over and over again.
It is. So today we are doing a deep dive into a source text titled The Inner Geometry of Will and Desire.
Such a great title.
It is. And the core premise here is that will is not a captain floating above your mind barking orders. It's actually a pivot point inside a living geometric structure.
A pivot point. I like that image already. It sounds, I don't know, mechanical, manageable.
It is a mechanism, and what we're going to do today is map the architecture of the human psyche based on this text.
We're going to look at how thoughts, emotions, and body sensations braid together.
Exactly. How they braid together to either hijack your ability to choose or to liberate it. This isn't just abstract philosophy we're talking about today. This is mechanics.
We are giving you the blueprint to your own internal operating system. And we're going to take this geometry and apply it to the stuff that actually matters to us. Romantic infatuation, true love, and the darker mechanics of trauma bonding.
So buckle up. We are going into the geometry of the soul.
It sounds abstract, but I promise you, once you see this triangle we're about to describe, you literally cannot unsee it. It changes how you view every interaction you have.
It really does.
Okay, let's unpack this. We need to visualize this structure first. The source material asks us to imagine a triangle, just a simple triangle. Walk us through the corners.
All right. Close your eyes if you can. Unless you're driving, please keep them open.
Please keep them open.
But imagine a triangle in your mind's eye. This is the anatomy of experience. Every moment you are alive, you are existing in these three corners. The first corner is thoughts.
Thoughts. Okay, this is this stuff in our head.
Right. These are your beliefs, your stories, your analysis, your imagination. It's the narrative track running in your mind 24/7.
Like, this is dangerous, or she is perfect, or I am a failure, or just I need to buy milk.
Exactly. That's corner one, the storyteller, the narrator.
Got it. What's corner two?
Corner two is emotions. This is the weather system.
The weather system.
Yeah, fear, anger, joy, longing, grief, excitement. It's your feeling state.
Okay. And the third corner.
Body sensations.
Now, this is the one we often ignore, right?
Yeah.
Or we just lump it in with emotions.
We do, but it's crucial to keep it distinct in this model. This is the tension in your jaw, the warmth in your chest. It's the rate of your breathing, fatigue, activation, hunger.
It's the raw data coming from your biology.
The hardware.
So we have thoughts, emotions, and body. The story, the weather, and the hardware. Seems simple enough. But the source material makes a really big deal about how these aren't just three separate buckets sitting next to each other.
No, they are absolutely not separate. They are braided. They are constantly interacting and influencing one another. You cannot have a thought without it rippling into the other two corners.
It's a continuous feedback loop.
A continuous loop.
Give me an example of this braid in action. How does it start?
Let's say a thought pops into your head. Something like, this situation is dangerous. Maybe you're walking down a dark street and you hear a noise. The thought is threat.
Oh, okay.
Immediately, what happens to the body?
My stomach drops. My muscles tense up. My pupils probably dilate to let in more light.
Right. The thought alters the body state instantly. But it works the other way, too, and this is the direction we often miss.
Oh, interesting.
Let's say you haven't slept in 24 hours. Your body state is fatigue and high cortisol. How does that physical reality affect your thinking?
Oh, my thinking gets terrible. It gets so narrow, so pessimistic. I start snapping at people. I just assume the worst about everything.
Exactly.
If my partner asks me the simple question, I interpret it as an attack.
Because the body state restricts and colors the thought process, and then the emotion kicks in maybe irritability or hopelessness.
Which generates more negative thoughts, like, my life is a mess.
Which makes the body more tense. They amplify each other. They synthesize.
It's a resonance chamber. You're just bouncing from corner to corner, reacting to your own reactions.
And most of the time, we're just riding that loop blindly. But here is where the geometry gets really interesting. At the dead center of this triangle, equidistant from thought, emotion, and body, sits the will.
Okay, so this is the captain we were talking about earlier.
No, remember, we are totally discarding the captain model.
Right, no captain.
A captain implies control over the elements, like you're separate from them. In this model, the will is defined very specifically. It is not force.
But what is it?
It is orientation.
Yeah.
It is direction, movement. It is the pivot point where action emerges.
Orientation. That's a much softer word than I expected.
Yeah.
Feels less muscular than willpower.
It's precise. Think of it like a compass needle or a hinge. It decides where the energy goes. It decides what we turn our face toward.
Okay.
But, and this is the key, the will is not isolated. It is surrounded by those three corners. And there is one more piece of geometry we haven't added yet.
The secret ingredient.
The engine. Imagine a concentric ring surrounding that center pivot point, but still inside the triangle.
A ring around the will.
Yes. This ring is the libido.
Whoa, hold on. Libido. Are we talking just about sex here? Because that feels a bit specific for a general model of human behavior. If I'm angry in traffic, is that libido?
That's the most common misunderstanding. Freud popularized the word, and over time, it just got narrowed down in the cultural lexicon to sexuality.
Right.
But in this context, and in the context of this deeper psychological geometry, we are talking about the life drive.
The life drive.
Yes. It includes sexuality, of course, but it is so much bigger than that.
Yeah.
It is the drive for expansion. It is creativity, attraction, the urgency toward aliveness.
It's the fuel.
It's the engine that says go, grow, connect, defend. Without this ring, you would be totally inert. You'd have thoughts and bodies, but no propulsion whatsoever.
Okay, so it's the propulsion system.
But this libido ring has a very specific dynamic. It can flare.
Flare, like a solar flare.
Exactly like that. It heats up, it activates, and when that ring flares, when you feel that sudden rush of desire or creativity or urgency or even defensive rage if you don't examine it, it does something fascinating to the rest of the geometry.
What does it do?
It recruits the triangle.
Recruits. That sounds military, like it's drafting soldiers.
That's actually a great way to put it. It acts like a powerful magnet. Let's look at what the text calls the primitive model of action.
And primitive here doesn't mean stupid, right?
No, not at all. It means primary or instinctual. It's how we evolved to survive. So, the libido ring flares up. Maybe you see something you want or you feel a threat you need to fight. The ring heats up. Immediately, the body intensifies, heart rate goes up, adrenaline pumps.
Okay, body is on board. We are mobilized.
Then emotions surge. Excitement, anger, hunger, lust. And this is the trickiest part, the part that tricks us into thinking we are being rational. The thoughts begin constructing narratives to justify the flare.
Oh, I know this one so well. This is when I see a really expensive pair of shoes I definitely don't need, and suddenly my brain is writing a dissertation on why they are a sensible investment for my career.
Precisely. Your thoughts are being recruited by the flare. Your logic isn't driving. Your logic has been hired as the PR firm for your impulse.
The PR firm for your impulse. That is painfully accurate. I need this. This is it. He is the one.
The triangle synchronizes. All three corners are pointing in the exact same direction. And then the ring wraps around the will.
The wraparound.
The ring tightens.
Right.
The will, that delicate pivot point, begins to feel heavily pressurized. It doesn't feel like it's choosing anymore. It feels compelled.
This is that moment where you say, I couldn't help myself, or it just happened.
Yes. And here is where it gets really interesting structurally. When thought, emotion, and body are all screaming the exact same thing, and the ring is tightening around the will, it feels like destiny.
Destiny. That's a really big word for I want the shoes.
Think about it, though. When you have zero internal conflict, when your head, heart, and gut all say yes, simultaneously that feels like absolute truth. It creates massive momentum.
And momentum feels like inevitability.
Exactly.
That explains so much. That explains why when you're in a heated argument, saying that really mean thing feels like the most righteous, truthful thing in the world in that moment. You feel like a crusader for truth.
Because the structure is amplifying itself. Your internal state is saying, my body is hot, my emotion is rage, my thought is you are wrong.
So the will just collapses into that momentum.
Yes, you aren't driving the bus anymore. The momentum is driving the bus. The passenger has taken the wheel, but because you are the passenger, you feel like you're flying.
So that's the primitive model. The flare happened, the triangle gangs up, the will gets squeezed, and we act. And it feels like we had no choice at all.
Correct. That is the default state of the unexamined human mind. Now contrast that with the mature model.
I'm guessing the mature model involves a little more braking. Is this where we just shut it all down and deny the impulse?
Not breaking, necessarily, and definitely not suppression. The text is very clear on this point. Maturity is not about killing the libido or suppressing the emotions.
Because that just leads to a gray, lifeless existence.
Exactly. Maturity is about differentiation.
Differentiation. That sounds like a calculus term. Break it down for us.
It's about seeing the parts as separate parts. It is the ability to unbraid the rope in real time.
Walk me through it. The flare happens. I see the shoes. Or the donut. Or the person who just insulted me in traffic.
The flare happens. You feel the urge. But instead of the will collapsing under the wraparound, the will observes. The internal monologue changes entirely. It goes from I must do this to I notice activation in my body.
I notice I'm sweating. I notice my heart is racing.
Right. I notice excitement in the emotion. I see a narrative forming in my thoughts that says if I don't buy these shoes, I will be miserable forever.
You're stepping back. You're watching the geometry work. You're like a scientist in your own head.
You are remaining at the center. The will stays in the pivot point. It is aware, but it is not crushed by the ring. And this is the definition of freedom in this text.
Freedom. How so?
Freedom is not the lack of influence. You will always be influenced by your body and your thoughts. You live in them.
Right. You can't escape your biology.
Exactly. Freedom is awareness within influence. You feel everything move, the heat, the story, the urge, but you decide where to go.
That is such a crucial distinction for everyone listening. It's not about being a robot who feels nothing. It's about feeling everything, maybe even feeling it more intensely, because you aren't just acting it out immediately and still being the one steering.
It's the difference between being carried by a river and navigating a kayak down that river. The energy of the water is the exact same. The control is completely different.
In the primitive model, you are a stick in the river. In the mature model, you are the kayaker.
Perfectly said.
Okay, so we have a triangle, the ring, and the will. We have the primitive model, the wraparound, where we get hijacked, and the mature model, differentiation, where we observe.
Oh.
Now, let's apply this to something that makes us all go a little crazy.
Romantic infatuation.
Yes.
Oh, this is the perfect laboratory for this geometry. There is no drug on earth that recruits the triangle faster than new love.
The source text says that infatuation doesn't start in the will, it starts as activation.
Right. You walk into a room, you see someone, a glance, a voice, a smell. Something in the environment stimulates the system. Step one, the libido flares.
And again, to be clear, this isn't just, I want to take them home.
Yeah. No, it's magnetism. It's the hunger to merge. It's intense curiosity. Who is that? There's life over there and I want to be near it. That flare is just energy. It's neutral. But then, step two happens. The triangle is recruited.
And this happens fast.
Lightning fast. The body dumps dopamine or epinephrine, maybe a little testosterone or estrogen. Breath changes. You get that physical flush. Emotions spike. Euphoria, anxiety, hope. And then the thoughts. Oh, the thoughts work overtime.
Confirmation bias city. Like, they like jazz, I like jazz, we are literal soulmates. They ordered the exact same drink as me. Clearly, the stars have aligned.
They're wearing blue. My favorite color is blue. This is a sign from the universe. The thoughts begin constructing a narrative of absolute perfection. Selective attention kicks in entirely.
You stop seeing the red flags. You only see the green lights.
You essentially hallucinate a version of this person that aligns perfectly with your flair.
So the whole triangle aligns. Body is buzzing. Emotion is soaring. Thought is idealizing.
And then step 3. The ring wraps the will. And this is exactly why falling in love or falling in infatuation feels spiritual or cosmic.
Explain that part a bit more. Why does it feel spiritual? Why do we immediately think God sent this person to me?
Because of the synchronization. We usually walk around everyday life with some internal conflict. Our head wants one thing, our body wants another, our emotions are somewhere else entirely.
Yeah, totally scattered.
But in infatuation, everything lines up. When your body says alive and your emotion says powerful and your thought says meaningful, the intensity is so high that we naturally interpret it as significance.
We confuse volume with truth.
That's a great way to put it. We confuse intensity with destiny. I've never felt this strongly before, therefore this must be the one. But structurally, if you look at the blueprint, it's just a massive coordination of systems. It's just geometry.
That is slightly unromantic, I have to say, but also very liberating.
It's incredibly liberating. Because if you understand the primitive model of infatuation, you see the trap.
The trap being that the will collapses into the momentum.
Exactly. You overinvest. You project your ideals onto a total stranger. You ignore objective reality because the momentum feels too good to stop. You sign a lease with someone you don't actually know.
And then when the crash happens, when the dopamine finally wears off and you realize they leave wet towels on the bed and they actually hate your mother.
It's devastating because you weren't actually choosing them. You were being carried by the state. You feel betrayed, but really you were betrayed by your own unexamined geometry.
So what does mature infatuation look like then? Is it even possible to be infatuated deeply, but still be mature? Or do we have to sit there with a clipboard analyzing our dopamine levels? Like, I am currently detecting a 15% increase in arousal because that sounds incredibly dry.
No clipboard needed. You don't kill the vibe at all. You just protect the alignment.
Protect the alignment. I really like that phrase. What did that look like in practice?
In mature infatuation, the flare happens. The triangle lights up. You feel the rush. It's delicious. But the will stays distinct.
It stays in the pivot point.
Right. You say to yourself, this is energy, this is exciting, I am enjoying this projection, but I know it is a projection. Let's explore this carefully.
Instead of, this is my absolute destiny, it's more like, this is a really strong opening argument.
Exactly. You reframe it. Instead of being swept away, you participate in the process. You say, I feel the pull, and I am choosing to walk toward it, but I am keeping my eyes open. It sounds subtle, but it changes the entire dynamic.
It prevents you from driving off a cliff just because the scenery is nice on the way down.
Precisely.
This leads us naturally to the next big distinction in the source material, which is the structural difference between infatuation and love. Because we use these words interchangeably in culture, but geometrically, according to the text, they are totally different beasts.
Totally different architectures. And the text makes a very bold claim here. The difference isn't about the strength of the feeling.
Really? Because I always thought love was just infatuation plus time.
Yeah.
Like it just matures.
No, that's a huge misconception. Love is about the organization of the structure. Let's look at infatuation again. It is a synchronized surge. It's narrow. The world shrinks down to one single person.
Oh, yeah. You forget your friends, you drop your hobbies, your job performance slips. You're just checking your phone every 30 seconds.
The timeline is extremely fast. It feeds on novelty. And the will feels pulled. I can't help it. Now, contrast that architecture with love. Love is integrated stability.
Integrated stability. That sounds warm.
It is. In love, the body isn't constantly spiking with adrenaline and anxiety. It feels steady. There is warmth. The nervous system is regulated, not activated. The thoughts are completely different, too. Love sees the flaws.
Infatuation is blind, but love sees.
Love says, I see you are messy, and you have a temper, and you get grumpy when you're hungry, and I still choose you.
It's spacious.
Yes. Infatuation is narrow and exclusive. Love is spacious and inclusive. It includes reality, it includes the long term. And the most important part, in love, the will participates.
It participates. It's an active agent in the process.
It's not, I can't help but love you, which sounds super romantic in movies, but is actually a very powerless statement. It is, I see you clearly and I choose to be here. That is a much more powerful stance. It's a vow, not a spasm.
There's a really interesting point in the notes about what they call the boring myth. I feel like a lot of people, myself definitely included, especially in my younger years, get addicted to the roller coaster of infatuation.
Hmm.
And when things finally settle down into that integrated stability you mentioned, it feels flat. It feels like the air just went out of the balloon.
This is a tragedy for so many relationships. People equate intensity with depth.
Right.
Infatuation has high amplitude, high highs, low lows. It's a spike. Love has depth.
Amplitude versus depth. That's a great way to visualize it.
If you are an adrenaline junkie, if you are used to the primitive model piece feels like boredom. A calm, regulated nervous system feels like a dead relationship to you. You start thinking, oh no, the spark is gone.
But the spark was just the flare of the libido ring recruiting the triangle.
Exactly. The fire of love is a totally different kind of burn. It's a hearth, not a wildfire.
Hearths keep you warm all winter. Wildfires just burn your house down.
That's it. You have to actively retrain your nervous system to appreciate the warmth of connection rather than chasing the spike of validation.
The source material offers a diagnostic question here, which I think is just brilliant for anyone listening. If you're wondering right now, am I in love or am I just infatuated? What should you ask yourself?
You ask this: if the intensity dropped by 30%, would I still choose this person?
That really cuts through the noise, doesn't it?
It does. If the answer is no, if
Yeah.
the only thing holding you there is the rush, the drama, the high, the will they, won't they anxiety, then it's just infatuation. You are in love with the feeling, not the actual person standing in front of you.
You're in love with your own geometry.
Yes. But if the answer is yes, if you would still want to be with them on a random Tuesday night doing laundry when you're both exhausted and looking gross, then you are entering the architecture of love.
Will I still choose you on a Tuesday night? That is the ultimate test.
It really is. Because a shared life is mostly made up of Tuesday nights.
Okay, so we've covered the fun stuff, the exciting stuff, infatuation and love. Now we have to go to the darker side of the geometry. We need to talk about trauma bonding.
This is crucial. Because structurally, a trauma bond looks very different from love, but it feels incredibly powerful to the person inside it. Sometimes it even feels more powerful than healthy love.
Let's define it first for everyone. What exactly is a trauma bond?
A trauma bond is an attachment formed through intermittent mistreatment and reward. It is not based on genuine connection. It's based on a nervous system loop.
The text describes this loop as fear leads to relief, which leads to attachment, and then repeat.
Right. Think about the geometry we've been building. In a healthy relationship, the libido ring connects to pleasure, growth, and safety. In a trauma bond, the libido ring fuses with threat.
Fuses with threat.
Yeah.
That sounds completely terrifying. How does that even happen?
Imagine you have a partner who is unpredictable. They lash out, they disappear for days, they criticize you endlessly, or they're just emotionally volatile. Your body goes into high alert, cortisol spikes. You're terrified of losing the connection or being hurt.
So corner 3, the body is just freaking out. The hardware is flashing red.
Exactly. Then they come back. They apologize profusely. They are incredibly sweet. They give you a little breadcrumb of affection. Or maybe they just stop yelling at you for a minute. What happens to the body in that moment?
Massive relief, like the weight of the entire world just lifts off your shoulders.
You get a massive flood of endogenous opioids and dopamine. The relief is so profound purely because the fear was so high. Your body learns a very dangerous lesson in that moment. It learns, this person is the source of my pain, but they are also the absolute only cure for my pain.
It's a closed loop. You can't go anywhere else for soothing because they have completely monopolized your nervous system.
Exactly. The triangle synchronizes around relief, not pleasure. And here's the real tragedy of it. The will collapses completely. It doesn't just feel carried like it does in infatuation. It feels trapped.
I know this isn't good, but I can't leave. I hate them, but I need them.
That is the mantra of the trauma bond. The will is paralyzed. And the reason it feels so, quote-unquote, deep, people in these bonds often say things like, we have such a cosmic connection, nobody understands our love, is because of that amplitude we talked about earlier.
The highs are incredibly high, solely because they follow such terrifying lows.
Right.
So healthy love feels boring compared to this because healthy love doesn't have the baseline of terror.
Healthy love feels calm. And to a trauma-bonded, dysregulated system, calm feels like nothing. Calm feels like death. You become addicted to the rescue, so you keep tolerating the danger just to get the rescue again.
This brings us to a really sophisticated part of the source material. The why behind all of this. Why do we get stuck in these loops? Why do smart, capable people stay in these destructive geometries? The text introduces an acronym here, CONAF.
CONAF, the circle of needs and fulfillment. This is really the engine room of the whole theory.
The core thesis here is that trauma bonding isn't actually about love at all. It's about unmet needs.
Specifically, fractured needs. The text identifies 3 primary fractures that make us highly susceptible to this hijack: safety, affirmation, and competence.
Let's break those down because I think everyone listening will identify with at least one of these on some level. Let's start with safety.
If your core need for safety is fractured, maybe from a chaotic childhood, maybe from past abusive relationships, your nervous system is always scanning for danger. It never turns off. And strangely, you might seek out predictable unpredictability.
That sounds like an oxymoron. Why would I seek unpredictability if what I really want is safety?
Because chaos feels familiar to you. If you grew up in chaos, a peaceful, stable partner feels alien. Your nervous system literally doesn't know what to do with them. You might even subconsciously provoke a fight just to get back to a baseline you recognize. But a chaotic partner, you look at them and say, I know this dance. I know how to survive this. You bond to the chaos because it feels like home, even if home was a war zone.
That is incredibly heavy, but it makes perfect sense.
Ah.
Okay, what about the affirmation fracture?
Affirmation is the hunger to be seen, to be valued, to matter. If this is fractured, you seek intermittent validation. You actively do not want the partner who tells you you're great every single day.
Why not? That sounds really nice to most people.
Because if you have a deep fracture there, you don't believe it. It feels cheap or fake. You want the partner who withholds it, who makes you work incredibly hard for it, and then finally gives it to you.
Because when they finally give it to you, it feels like oxygen. It feels earned.
It feels vital to your survival. You are chasing the breadcrumb because you are starving emotionally. And the fact that they withhold it makes their approval seem infinitely more valuable. The logic is, if I can get this incredibly difficult person to love me, then I must really be worthy.
And the third fracture, competence.
This one is tricky and very common. This is the need to feel capable, to feel like you have agency and power in the world. If this is fractured, you might try to fix a broken partner.
Oh, the classic I can change them trap.
Exactly. If I can just love them enough, if I can just be patient enough, I will be the one to heal them. The relationship basically becomes a project.
And every time you fail to fix them, you just try harder. Your will isn't oriented toward, is this person actually good for me? It's oriented toward, I need to succeed at this relationship to prove I am enough.
And this is where the geometry gets really messed up. The text notes that in this state, the libido ring stops acting as a life drive and starts acting as a repair drive.
A repair drive. That is the critical shift right there.
It is. In a healthy structure, libido is for expansion. Let's build a life together. In a trauma structure, libido is for repair. Let's fill this gaping hole in my soul. The ring wraps around the will with the absolute urgency of a survival mechanism.
So the will narrows. It stops asking the big important questions.
It stops asking what aligns with my values and starts frantically asking, how do I get this need met right now? It's pure tunnel vision.
So how do we break the bond? If the will is trapped, how do we get it out of the wraparound?
The solution isn't just leave the person. That's why people go back to toxic relationships 7, 8 times before it sticks. The solution is structural repair.
You have to fix the fracture itself.
You have to address the safety, affirmation, or competence needs outside of that relationship entirely. You have to learn to source safety from yourself. You have to source affirmation from friends or your work or a good therapist. You have to totally decouple your sense of personal competence from your ability to fix this one broken person.
You essentially have to fill the void so the libido stops trying to use the partner as spackle.
Precisely. You shift the entire system from compulsion filling a void to orientation choosing a path. When the core need is met internally, the external urgency drops. And when the urgency drops, the will can finally see clearly again.
And usually, once you see clearly, the relationship just loses its power over you. You look at it and go, wait, this is just painful. Why am I even here?
The spell breaks completely because the spell was always made of your own unmet needs.
This has been really intense, but in the best possible way. Let's zoom out a bit and recap everything for the listener. We started with a simple triangle.
The triangle of experience: thoughts, emotions, and body sensations.
We found the center, the will. Not a captain, but a pivot point.
And the ring: libido, the life drive energy that propels us.
We learned that the primitive way of living is letting the ring flare and squeeze the will until we feel like we have no choice. That's the wraparound.
And the mature way is differentiation: letting the fire burn, letting the stories play out, but keeping the will safely in the center, watching it all, and then making a choice.
We applied it to infatuation. Don't kill the vibe, but don't let it drive the bus either.
Check for the 30% drop.
Yes, the Tuesday night laundry test. And we looked at trauma bonding, recognizing when we are frantically trying to repair a deep fracture rather than actually building a life with someone.
Recognizing when we are chasing nervous system relief instead of genuine connection.
The source material ends with a really powerful sentiment. The goal of mapping all this geometry isn't to become some stoic statue. We aren't trying to extinguish the fire of libido.
No, absolutely not. A life without that fire is inert. It's boring. The ultimate goal is to cultivate a will that is strong enough to sit in the dead center of the fire, feeling the intense heat, feeling the pull, observing the narrative, and still making a conscious, deliberate choice.
To feel absolutely everything and still be the one steering the kayak.
That is true mastery of the self.
So we want to leave you with a final thought to mull over as you go about your day. It's what the text calls the most honest question.
The next time you feel a strong, overwhelming pull, whether it's toward a romantic partner, a major life decision, or even just a destructive habit, ask yourself this: am I expanding or am I repairing?
Is my will choosing, or is it being carried?
The answer to that question changes everything.
Thanks for diving deep with us today. Check your geometry, watch out for the wraparound, and we will see you next time.
Take care, everyone.